And next we have a speaker session by Dr. Jiayuan Fang, CEO and founder of Afficient Academy, Inc. and our gold sponsor. Dr. Jiayuan will shed light on the subject, leveraging AI to overcome challenges in classroom education, how schools can efficiently fill students' skill gaps. Please welcome him with a round of applause.
I'm Jiayuan Fang, CEO of Afficient Academy, and today's my talk is leveraging AI to overcome challenges in classroom education, and specifically is how schools can efficiently fill student skill gaps. Here is a universal challenge in classroom teaching. And teachers face the challenge of teaching new material in the class while addressing individual students' skill gaps. And students have varying foundations, and most have skill gaps and weak areas carried over from previous years. Now we have added challenge is the COVID learning loss, right? So teachers and the students struggle to build on shaky foundations. And this challenge appears all the time, not just recently, for all schools, virtually for all grades. And the higher grades, and the more severe the problem are. Do we have good solutions for this? If we have, it's not a long-lasting challenge for the schools. We already solved them. Do we have good solutions which are practical to implement right now? Not 5 or 10 years later. Here, I introduce a solution. So Afficient Academy's solution for schools is to use AI to intelligently address individual students' needs without interruption of regular class schedule. Again, we want to introduce a solution which are practical and can be implemented in schools. And build solid foundation by identifying all skill gaps. Fill skill gaps thoroughly and efficiently. So efficiently bring students up to speed through student independent study. I'll explain more in the coming slides. So it's a supplement to the classroom teaching without interruption of the regular teaching schedule. And students learn independently by themselves. And next, explain our solutions and in comparison with some existing tools. There are a few tools address this subject. Filling student skill gaps. Okay, I don't want to specifically name individuals, individual tools here. So those tools are mainly the tools which currently widely used in some school district. Some other tools, I may not have access to it, so sorry about it. I'm not including those in my discussion. I mainly discuss the tools which have been widely used in current school district. So those tools, on the right-hand side, they typically have a diagnostic test, or they call it assessment test. Through the assessment test, they claim they found the skill gaps. Some even claim they pinpoint skill gaps through only one short diagnostic test. Typically, a diagnostic test only lasts less than one hour. Because for the kids to do a diagnostic test, you don't want to take too long. Normally, less than 1 hour. How can you possibly, in less than 1 hour, with limited exercise, limited problem you do, you pinpoint the skill gaps, which I believe is unreliable and incomplete. And from this assessment test, they give you a list of the skills. Say, here are your gap skills, and you will work on this list of gap skills until next assessment test, which could be 4 or 5 months later. So students work only on the skill gaps found in the diagnostic test. And the passing is standards is kind of low. Some, they put 70% accuracy, you pass the skill, some 80%. And I found there's no mechanism on reviewing the learned skills to make sure you retain what you learned. And our approach, we find all skill gaps. How can we possibly find? We use about 1 hour diagnostic test. But the objective is not to find the skill gaps exactly. It's to find where the student should start with to find the gaps. To start with, to have the review of the content. So in 1 hour test, it's sufficient to achieve this objective. It's not sufficient to identify all the skill gaps and pinpoint all the skill gaps. Then you can find all the skill gaps subsequently. When you start working on a program, and we can find all the skill gaps through a very thorough and efficient screening. And then we fill all the skill gaps and strengthen the weak area through efficient adaptive exercises. And we typically need the student to master the skills, and often with larger than 90% accuracy. And also, in our scheme, we lead to them to retain the skills. Because when you learn a skill, and how long you will keep knowing the skill? After a week, after months, after 3 months. All right? So you have to have a mechanism to constantly review and to try to make sure they retain the skills they learn. So here is the comparison of the results with our approach, which I'll explain a little further later, and the other tools. Let's assume they start with the equal status. And here you have a number of skills, at least 6, definitely you are more than 6, just for illustration purpose. And the vertical is the accuracy rate of different skills. They start with that status. And after, with our program and other tools currently offering, and what's the difference? The difference is, other tools, they may find a few gaps, not all the gaps. As I said, in 1 hour, they cannot find all the gaps. They cannot even find which skills they don't need to do. Because in the diagnostic test, they make that problem correct once. Does that mean if you give the same skill, another problem, they can do it right? No. So some skill you never touched, and you assume it's not their gaps. Right? You may identify a few gaps and bring them to 70%. As you finish all this skill learning, some of the skill may not be 70%. But after 3 months, 70% accuracy becomes 60 or 50 or even lower. So in our approach, we said we find the gaps, all the skill gaps. No matter you are familiar with or you're not familiar with. You are familiar with the system, will automatically spend less time on it. If you're not familiar with, the system will automatically spend more time to raise the accuracy rate and for those skills. So it's the left versus the right. That's why we say we can scan through and find all the skill gaps. So in summary, what do we do? The diagnostic test determines students' starting level. The thorough screening and adaptive generated exercise identify all skill gaps and guide students to strengthen weak areas. And we have optimized learning paths which lead students to master skills efficiently. We also have AI managed a system and knows exactly what problem you did it right, what problem you did it wrong, and what's the history of your exercise. All right? So it will lead you to master the skills efficiently, and we have a systematic review ensures learned skills are retained. And this will, the teacher's load to bring students up to grade level is greatly reduced. Otherwise, in the school, in the classroom, teachers are responsible to teach new materials and also address individual students which are not well prepared. Otherwise, you just go ahead with your teaching, and those people cannot follow you. And these people need individual attention because different people have different gaps there. You cannot just give the whole class additional class, and that won't be efficient. So this gap filling should be done individually with a computer system independently in their own time. Or you can put in the part of the classroom time, but they do individually to catch up the things. So the teacher's load to bring students up to the grade level can be greatly reduced. And next, I briefly introduce our system. So here is as an example, the math dashboard. So here, each grade composed of number of skills. Compared to Common Core standards, we divide the skills to match the Common Core requirements. Okay? And each skill has a specific level to be learned as the lowest, and then level 1, 2, 3, and a proficient. So each skill has 5 different levels. And also each grade has a target, has a goal. And what's the goal you want to achieve to finish this grade? And so which skills are in level 1, which skill in level 2, and how many skills are proficient are clearly measured. Everybody, student, parent, and the teachers all know. Assistant knows. And we mainly have 3 modules called learning module, proficiency, efficiency. Next, I will briefly introduce these modules. And learning session is to learn a new concept. Okay? Or let people to review a concept they have learned before. Okay? And learning session, after the learning session, and people move to level 1 if they complete the learning session. There's certain criteria on what do you mean by completing the learning session. So learning session including the learning part, learning through the demonstrations. Sometimes it can be a video demonstration, sometimes it can be a text and image, and you just click one by one on your own speed. After reading one step, you click and go to the next step. So use images and the text, or sometimes use videos, you can learn it. After you learn it, you do exercise to see whether you can do the exercise, to verify whether you learn or not. And the system will grade instantaneously whether it's correct or not. If it's incorrect, you need to correct them right away. If you don't know how to correct them, you can read the demo again. Or there's a help button to tell you exactly how you do it and what's the answer. Of course, if you click help button before you submit the answer, it doesn't count you as answer correctly, right? So you need to get 5 out of 6 correct. Continue doing that. If you can reach 5 out of 6 correct, you finish the learning session and you reach level 1. The next is proficiency. Proficiency is all the skills if you reach level 1, to further practice to advance to proficient. And in proficiency section, if you get one skill right, it will move you to one level. From level 1 to level 2, from level 2 to level 3. If you get wrong, you move down to one level. So automatically, if you are familiar with that skill, you do a few times, you reach the proficiency. Otherwise, the system automatically lets you to practice more to reach proficiency. Or sometimes drop you to be learned and do one more time, then come. So if you have all the skills reach proficiency, and the system tell you what is the projection of your score if I test you all the skills. Because I have all the results you have in the past. I have all the accuracy of all the skills. So if I test you, what the score you'll get, our system can predict to you. And the goal is, let's say, 98. The system can tell you, you are now around 94. You're not done yet. So this is efficiency session. Efficiency session is the end of the grade. Intelligent, it's a test and practice, continuous test and practice process to allow you to leading to you to the A or A+. I think 98 is A+ grade, right? So achieve target goal of the grade. And many students, without this process, they cannot reach A or A+. Most students is probably, when they enter this stage, they are in the B or A- range, or even lower. But with this one, we're very targeted to find your weak areas and review certain things to strengthen your skills. Most people, guess what? Most people can reach A or A+. Kids are very smart, actually. And here is a diagnostic test to determine the student starting level. It's not to determine exactly where is your skill gaps. You cannot do it. I don't believe you can do it within 1 hour. So for each grade, after test, we have a test report based on the accuracy and the speed and accuracy. The horizontal is the speed, vertical is the accuracy. The best result is high speed and high accuracy. That's region 1. The second best is region 2, then 3, 4, and 5. So based on where they are, through our lots of experiments, we come up with this chart called speed accuracy diagram. So if somebody reach region 1, we think they are good enough. They don't need to review this grade. If in region 2 and 3, they are very good, but they need a quick review. What do we mean quick review? You put this grade to level 2. You start with level 2, then scan from there. And if you're region 4 and 5, we say we need a deep review. What does that mean? You put into everything skill as a level 1 to start for this grade. If in region 6, then we say to be learned. Right? We have 5 levels. And every week, the system automatically generates the weekly assignment based on the status of the end of last week. So you just click and do it. System knows where you need to do. We also leave the option for students to do without the system flow. You can choose any skills to do. That's another flow which we also support. But here is automatic flow. So here is a sample student progress example. Let's say a 5th grade student. They coming? You do not do 5th grade or 6th grade. First, review the previous grade. And this student even review from the grade 2. After they finish grade 2, master grade 2, and go to grade 3, when they do the grade 3, the system will automatically review part of the grade 2. And then go to grade 4, and then grade 5. Grade 5 is their current school grade. You can imagine at that time, after how many months? 5 or 6 months, the student has mastered and fulfilled all the skill gaps in the past very solidly. If he go with the current classroom teaching, he or she will be in a very good shape, and he'll be very comfortable with the material in the current grade, and teacher will have a lot easier job to teach the student with adequately foundation. So the outcome of Afficient programs. So our program has been, our company founded in 2014. We introduced the product gradually starting from 2015 and 16. So it has been in the market for several years, mainly in the consumer market. And in the past, we didn't introduce to schools. Okay? And in the consumer market, and we have a lot of statistics there. So 90% of students can ace 1 grade level's content in 2 to 4 months, which means up to 5 times faster than traditional methods. If you're individualized, AI-powered, and the learning efficiency can be greatly enhanced. And the quality can be greatly enhanced. And most of the students, most of these young kids, they can reach A and A+. Versus traditional method, most of them cannot reach the A level or even B level, right? So students not just taught skills, but are guided to master them. And the computer system can guide them to master them. So how long and where students do assignments? How long? We recommend 20 to 30 minutes per session and 2 to 3 sessions per week per subject. Some of the students can do more. They will move faster, right? And where? You can here have an independent learning session in the class. Teachers oversee them. Or you can have after school time in the school, or after school time outside the schools, or at homes, or after school learning centers. Anywhere you have internet, you can do it. In summary, so AI-powered programs can help schools overcome the challenge of filling individual students' skill gaps, which is a long-lasting challenge for all the schools, all the time. And with AI-powered program, it allows individualized for each student and brings them up to speed. And no interruption of regular class schedules. Greatly get students up to grade level, thoroughly filling students' gaps, reduce teachers' load. It used to be the teacher's job. Here, mostly becomes assistant job. And teacher can help And I think majority of the load is shared, reduced, and offload from teachers. That's all for my presentation. Thank you. Yeah. Here's my contact. If you're interested, contact me, and welcome. We discuss in the conference or outside the conference.